Good morning, lovely 12s. Unfortunately, I can't be with you in the first couple of weeks here because I'm trapped in quarantine, so that's no good. I would have loved to have been there at the very start. It is bizarre for me not to be able to teach in the first couple of weeks back. It couldn't really be helped, but yeah, apologies for that. But here's what the plan is. We are going to be making sure you don't lose out on any learning, and I'm going to make you a video lesson for all of your lessons until I get back, which is in not next week, but the week after. So you shouldn't miss out on anything. And if anything, you can revisit the lessons because they're on YouTube. So how exciting! Cool. So yeah, let's just get started, I guess. So welcome to begin with. I'm going to be your applied teacher, which means I'll get to teach you the statistics and the mechanics at the end. But it means now I get to help with the kind of pure side. So we're going to start on a topic which you should be pretty familiar with from GCSE called completing the square. Now, some of you are going to be really, really good at this, and because you're all from different schools, there's lots of different ways of doing these things. I really like the way that I've seen, I can't remember what school it was. There's this, one of your schools out there does this really interesting way, and you can kind of solve these in one step. But yeah, I'm going to show you a way that means that all of you can solve these complete the square questions without any trouble at all. So I'm going to do extra steps, but I'm going to guarantee at the end of this that you're all going to be absolutely ace. Cool. Now, my lovelies, completing the square, what it does is it actually gets these quadratics here, which have an x in two different spots, so x squared is there, and a single x is there, so the x is in two spots, makes it really hard to solve, say if it was equal to 0, if it was equal to a number, because the x is in multiple spots. Now, you could use the quadratic formula, which is what you will use all of the time to solve these guys, but where does the quadratic formula come from? Well, it comes from completing the square, and that's kind of a reason why you need to know it. Completing the square also tells you where the vertex of a curve is, so you guys know how curves curve up like that, or they could curve down like that. It tells you what either the maximum or the minimum is, depending on which way the curve was curving. So without further ado, let's do this thing, my lovelies. Let's do completed the square form. Completed square form looks like a bracket, plus or minus a number, and then a number at the end. Now, some of you will be able to do this in one step, and I'm going to show you my way, which is way more than one step, but it's going to help those of you who weren't sure at GCSE. So let's do this thing. Okay. Now, for me, here's how it works. If you check out this equation, we've got x squared minus 4x plus 5. Step one, buddies, for me, is to put a little speech bubble thingy over here, or a little thinking bubble over here. Now, this complete the square relies entirely on this second term right here, the minus 4, okay? The minus 4 is key to this whole thing. So here's what you're going to do. Starting off with the minus 4, you're going to half it. So that's just an h that I've underlined in my little thought bubble. Half the minus 4, you get minus 2. After you finish with the halving, I'm going to put this, supposed to be an s. S stands for square. So you're going to square this answer. So minus 2 squared, of course, is plus 4. Now, all of the complete the square methods from all of your schools start like that. Here's where mine's going to take an extra step, but you're going to be really getting it from now on. So here's what you're going to do. Y equals, and you're just going to copy it out, x squared minus 4x. Now, here's the funny thing. Instead of just copying up plus 5, what you're going to do is you're going to actually borrow this 4 down here. So this little 4 that you've just put right here, we're going to borrow it, and we are going to put it here. We're going to plus 4. Now, you can't just plus 4 to something, because that changes its value. So take away the 4 immediately, which I know sounds weird, but that's what you got to do. Plus 5. Now, the goal there is you should agree with me that this second line is actually the same as the first line, because the only difference that I've done is I've added a 4, but then I took it away again straight away. So it's definitely the same as the line above. So that's what it is. Right now what I'm trying to do is remove the mystery about how complete the square works. Cool. Now here's something really neat, buddies. Because of this way that you've written it out, which I almost bet that none of you, even those of you who are at AGS, have seen before, well, unless I taught you, the thing that's neat about it is by writing it that way, you've guaranteed, let's get my pen going here, come on now, computer. Okay, so by writing it that way, you've guaranteed that these first three terms factorize, Not only that, they factorize to what's called a perfect square. So it factorizes to the same number kind of twice. So if you think to yourself, just what's green on the green underline here, what two numbers times together to make plus 4, but add together to make minus 4? What are the two numbers that do that? Well, if you said minus 2 and minus 2, you're dead right. So it should be brackets x minus 2, brackets x minus 2, but I'm just going to shortcut it, x minus 2 all squared. Cool, cool, cool. And then just keep writing the rest. So it's going to be y equals x minus 2 all squared. And let's go with purple on this guy here. And then you just got to do what minus 4 plus 5 is, which is, of course, plus 1. Shaboom, you're in completed square form. So what's happened is I have just done an extra step, this middle step, but it's going to help you massively for when we get to hard ones. And for those of you who weren't very good at complete the square, didn't like this topic, that's going to help you too. So here you go. See this minus 2? Another pro tip, you can copy it. The minus 2 that's in the half part is always copied into the bracket. So bish bash bosh, completing the square with an extra step. Okay, just so I can try to appeal to you guys who did it in a different way, here's I think how most of you will have done it. You'll have seen the x squared minus 4x, you'll have halved the minus 4, and then to get minus 2 squared, no, half the minus 4 to get minus 2, squared that to get 4, and then you would have, oh, I can't even remember. It's too much to do in your head, guys. I don't like that way. You essentially end up minusing off the square of that thing in the middle, which is weird to me, so I don't like that way. But if you want to do it that way, it's cool. I've seen it all of the ways, and yeah, so you're welcome to do it that way too. So you can keep doing it your way. I'm not changing you. This is completed square form here, my lovelies, because if you check it out, we've got a single bracket, which has got squared and a plus 1. So bish bash bosh, you've got it. Cool. Now, just because I want to pressurize you to go to my way, even though you don't really have to, here's what I'm going to get you to do. Check out this one. I've made it way harder just by having an odd number in the middle. So if you want to try it with the steps that I've just shown you, here's what you do. To start with, get a little thinking bubble out there. Step 1, half the term in the middle. The term in the middle is 5. Half of 5 is 2.5, but that's hard to work with. So here's what you can do. Instead of 2.5, because I don't want to use a calculator, I can just write it like this. 5 over 2, which literally means 5 divided by 2, which is what happens when you half 5. So can you see how that's, yeah, easier that way? 5, yeah, if say the number was 9, what would be half of 9? Well, 9 over 2. What would be half of 1,000? 1,000 over 2. What would be half of 10? 10 over 2. See what I mean? It always works that way. So this is just a bit easier. Once you got that, we're now able to do the squaring bit, nice and lickety-split. Because I've got it as this fraction, it's super easy to square. So 5 squared is 25, 2 squared is 4, and that's what we've got. Cool, cool, cool. Next step, buddies, is you're going to start writing it out. Y equals x squared plus 5x, so you just keep that bit the same. Now, is this bottom number the squared number? That's the 25 over 4. We're going to add it on, but then immediately take it away again. The reason why we do that is because we don't want to change the value of our equation. Plus 4. So you should all agree with me that the second line is equal to the first line. So I'm removing the mystery of complete the square. This is where it comes from. Now the first 3 terms, buddies, are guaranteed to factorize in a perfect square again. So that's what we've got there. So check this out. First 3 terms are guaranteed to factorize in a perfect square. So y equals, and here's where it gets wonky, and here's where my method actually is quite good, I think. You need to think of 2 numbers that times to make 25 over 4, but add to make 5. But do you remember just a second ago, I said you could just steal this thing from the half? We're just going to steal that and put it in. So check it out. X plus 5 over 2, close brackets, squared. Now, I know some of you won't believe me that that's what this factorizes to, so let's just confirm, okay? So pretend as though there was 2 of the brackets written out there. It would be x times x, which is x squared, so that's that confirmed. The middle term would be x times 5 over 2, which is 5 over 2x. Then it would be plus 5 over 2x again. So 5 over 2x plus 5 over 2x would be 10 over 2x. 10 over 2x, because it's 10 over 2, becomes 5, so 5x. Confirmed. And the last term, 5 over 2 times 5 over 2 is 25 over 4. So, oh my gosh, my lovelies, we've got a strategy that works every time. And I love this method, and I hope I'm convincing you of it. But yeah, there you go. And the final thing we got to do is work out this. Now, I should say as well, it used to be that there was a non-calculator section on your exam. There isn't anymore. So you're welcome to just go ahead and pop that in the calculator, see what those two things add up to. There used to be non-calculator exam, but there isn't anymore, so you don't really need to be able to be very slick with it. But here we go, I'm going to do it with mental maths anyway. So this is minus 25 over 4, and this is going to be 16 over 4. 25 minus 16 is going to be 9, so it's negative 9 over 4. And so you're going to be left with minus 9 over 4. And that's what you've got then in fully perfect completed square form. Now again, if you guys had methods that you learned in your previous schools, or even in our school, because I think it's only just me who teaches it like this, you're welcome to just go ahead and use your methods, because I think that lots of you do a good deal of that mentally. Cool? It's useful to have this in your back pocket, though, for when the questions get really hard. So boom, basic complete the square, GCSE completing the square, done. Cool. Hard now. On to the AS level stuff. You had to do this a bit at GCSE as extension, and your teachers may have done this a bit as extension, but you didn't often get questions where you had to do these hard complete the squares. So first things first, I'll tell you why it's hard. It's hard because there's a 3 touching the x squared. It's just like when you were factorizing. Remember how you had to use that decomposition stuff when you were factorizing? When they were hard, you'd have to do splitting the middle term into 2 different things. That'll be how you learned that. But essentially, if ever you've got a number touching the x squared, it makes the question really hard. So what we're going to have to do, buddies, is what's called force factorization. So if you check it out, 3, 8, and minus 3, number-wise, don't have anything in common. So I can't factorize it like you'd think. Like 2 isn't common. You can't pull a 2 out and open up a bracket because 2 is not common. But we have to factorize it anyway. So here we go. I'll show you how to do that. I hope I have enough space. These are hard. So here's what you're going to do. Factorize it anyway. I can't have a number touching the x squared, so just pull the 3. 3. Open bracket. What do you times 3 by to get 3x squared? Well, x squared. Now, what do you times 3 by to get 8? Oh god, I don't know, fraction number. But remember that trick that we just used a minute ago with the halving and squaring ridiculousness that I had in the thought bubble? You can, instead of worrying about what 8 divided by 3 is, just write it as minus 8 over 3 x. See what I mean? Because if you times 3 by 8 over 3, the 3's would cancel, and then you would just be, so the 3's would cancel, and you'd just be left with the 8, which gets you back there. So it's perfect. And the last term then just becomes minus 1. Bish, bash, bosh. Now, it's weird that there's a 3 in front, but what's in the bracket now, what this bit here, has just become a regular question. And I like this because this is where my method comes into its own again. Good luck if your method still works after this horribleness, but I'll help you anyway. So here we go. Y equals 3 open bracket. Now I'm going to treat everything in there like its very own brand new question. So here we go. Thinking bubble. There it is. And the first thing to do is you're going to half the middle term. So the middle term is minus 8 over 3. Now, if you half that, well, you can do that in your head probably. It's like doubling the bottom, so it's minus 8 over 6, right? If you half that. Now, that's going to be the same because 2 goes into both of those, minus 4 over 3. And that's what you should find that it is. So the halving is minus 4 over 3. Hard questions, say? Harder than GCSE. Then what you're going to do is square. If you square negative 4 over 3, negative and negative makes positive. The top's going to be 16, the bottom's 9. So it's 16 over 9 when you square it. So back to the method. X squared, you're copying to begin with, minus 8 over 3x. And then we're going to plus this 16 over 9 stuff. Plus 16 over 9. And then you can't just do that, so take it away as well. Negative 16 over 9, and then copy out the old minus 1 there, and then close the bracket. So there you've got it. Yeah, so you should agree that the third line is the same as the second now. Now remember our trick, guys. The first 3 are guaranteed, to factorize as a perfect square. Not only that, you know what goes in the bracket. It's this halving one. I'll confirm it with you if you like, but I might want to go quick through the video, so I haven't decided yet. I'll decide in a sec. So, oh, wrong color. So here we go. Y equals 3, open blue bracket. Now here we go, open green bracket. What you're going to find here is, I'm telling you, it's going to be x minus 4/3. Cool, all squared. Now that is just copied from up here. So you can see the 2 yellow highlighters. This is just that. Okay, let's confirm it. X times x would be x squared. X times minus 4/3 would be minus 4/3 x. Minus 4/3 times x would be minus 4/3 x. Minus 4/3 minus another 4/3 is minus 8/3, which confirms that. Minus 4/3 times minus 4/3 would make positive 16/9, which confirms that. So this is indeed right. You don't need to go about confirming it every time though, because that is a faff, let's be honest. So you don't have to confirm it every time, just as long as you know that it works. That's all that's important to me. And here we go. The last bit here, again, use your calculator if you're not happy with it. But minus 16/9 minus 1, that's like minus 16/9 minus 9/9. So what you've got is 16, take 9 more, is going to be minus 25/9. So we're flying now, buddies, on these really hard ones. Final step is you just can't have the 3 in front anymore. We need, ooh, I wish that bracket was blue. I'm going to change it. So we just can't have that 3 in front anymore. So what we're going to do is we're going to times the 3 back onto both of those two things. So it becomes 3, and then the green bracket is going to be x minus 4/3 all squared, because all you've done is you've just times the 3 onto that, and then the 3 onto that. 3 would cancel with 9 3 times, which means that you're going to get on the last one minus 25/3, and that's the final answer. Okay. Now, I'm aware that that's really hard, and this is probably among the hardest algebra you've ever done coming out of GCSE, so it is a hard unit. I will level with you. It's hard, but you're going to get it. Just, you need to practice, that's all. Hopefully you've got your head around it. Here's what I'd suggest, okay? So yeah, I assume you're on your phones or whatever right now. It could be playing on the screen. If it's playing on the screen, pause it, I guess, for a sec, but here's what I'm going to have you do. Have a look at this question. The 8x squared plus 24x minus 2. This is one of the hard ones that needs to be force factorized because there's an 8 touching the x squared. So you're going to have to start off by factorizing the 8 out and seeing what's left in there. Then you're going to have to go about doing all the steps on the second bracket and then timesing it back out again. Here's what I'd suggest. You try that right now, so pause your phone or whatever you're watching it on right now. Have a little go at it, and then I'm going to reveal to you the answer, okay? So pause it. Okay, and so hopefully you had a chance to get it all done, and I hope that you got this. If you got this, you're absolutely flying. It should have been 8, and then brackets, x plus 3/2 all squared, take away 20. So hopefully you're getting it. Hopefully you kind of have your head around it. That's as hard as they go, really. So if you're on that level, that's good, because you're on the hardest level. Cool. Final thing that we got to do today, buddies, is we're going to solve with completing the square. Now, the only difference that we've got here, guys, is that there's an equals to 0. So rather than having y equals, like what we had here, we have it equals to 0. So there's only just x in our equation, as opposed to an x and a y. So because there's only one variable in the equation, there's only one x, like there's an x squared and there's a single x, but because there's only one letter in our equation, it means we can actually figure out what x is equal to. Okay, and that's what we're going to do. Now, I know what you're thinking, quadratic formula, and yes, you're right, you could just use quadratic formula on this, and that's what we will do after we finish this unit, but you do have to be able to do the complete the square stuff, because there's some derivations they make you do in the exam with it. So yeah, I know you could just do quadratic formula, and I know some of you, even further still, actually know the secret button on the calculator which does it for you, but I'd like you to try to solve it, leaving your answer as a surd with me right now, okay? So here we go. Let's have a little try together. When you're solving something by completing the square, obviously the first hint is in the name, by completing the square. That's what we're going to have to do, is we're going to have to complete the square to work it out. So let's try it, guys. So first things first, this is a good one because there's nothing touching the x squared. So that's a result, nothing touching the x squared, so it should be an easier one. So step 1 then, buddies, thinking bubble. Okay, step 1, half the middle term. It's 8. Half it, 4. Step 2, square it. Square 4, you get 16. Cool. Step 2, we don't have a y equals this time, but that's okay. Write it out. X squared plus 8x. Now, see that plus 16 that we got at the bottom? We're going to add it in there. Always add first. Plus 16, but you can't just plus 16 to something, so take it away straight away. Minus 16, then that leaves you with plus 10, still equaling 0. Cool. You should agree with me, and this is again the reason that I do this extra step. You should agree with me that the first line equals the second line. There's nothing mysterious about complete the square. It's just kind of regular maths operations. So yeah, hopefully you're feeling okay at it. Now, here you go. You remember this, my buddies? The first 3 terms guaranteed to factorize as a perfect square. You could actually work it out this time. 2 numbers that times to 16 and add to plus 8, which is going to be 4 and 4. But I definitely don't want to do that. I can't be bothered. I want to do the lazy way. So here you go. It's going to be x plus 4, all squared. Why? What's the lazy way again? Well, the lazy way is this just matches up to the half thing. Bang. Cool. Next step, tidy these bad boys up here on the right. Minus 16 and plus 10. Put them together, you're going to get minus 6. That still equals to 0. Right. Now, you're up... Oh, dearie. Oh, no. Oh, this has gone completely pear-shaped now. My golly. Okay, so that's minus 6, and that equals 0. Okay. So, now, you might be thinking, oh, what's the point of that, really? But you just done something awesome, guys. There was an x in 2 different spots here, and now, on this line, the x is only in 1 spot. It's in the bracket with a plus 4. All you have to do now is rearrange like you normally would in algebra. So the first step, plus 6 to both sides, you're going to end up getting, so, let's do it, plus 6 plus 6. So yeah, you remember all this stuff. Plus 6 plus 6. You're going to be left with this then. It's going to be x plus 4 all squared equaling 6. How do I get this on its own? How do I get the x on its own? Well, we have to square root. So it's going to be x plus 4, because I'm going to square root the whole side. That's going to get rid of the squared. And this is going to equal to the square root of 6. Now there's something funny here, and I wonder if anybody can spot it. Say that we had an equation. Say we had a different one. Say it was like x squared equals 25. Well, what's the answer to that? Is it 5? Or is there another answer? Well, if you said there's another answer, there is another answer, because what number can you square and get 25? Well, 5 times 5 certainly makes 25, but minus 5 times minus 5 also makes 25. So when you square root something, you've always got to be conscious that there's 2 answers, a positive and a negative. If you want to be lazy, like I kind of want to be, you can use this symbol here, plus or minus, and that's the symbol I'd encourage here, plus or minus. Okay, it's plus or minus just because you can get both types of answers, so that's it. And the final step then, guys, final rearrangement is just this. It's going to be x equals negative 4, copy the plus or minus symbol, plus or minus the square root of 6. And bang, you have actually done it. That's the answer to a question. Does it look familiar? Does it look like something you would have done at GCSE? If you said absolutely yes, it looks like a solution to a quadratic formula, you're absolutely right. Quadratic formula, spoilers alert guys, is just complete the square. That's where the formula comes from. And yeah, so of course you can get the answer with complete the square, because that's what created quadratic formula, so you can bypass it if you want. So there you go, minus 4 plus or minus the square root of 6. Cool. Last one I'm going to get you to try from my PowerPoint is this. And if you check it out, 2x squared minus 8x plus 7. Spoiler alert, you're scuppered right off the start because there's a 2 touching the x squared, so put you in the realm of the hard ones. So you've got to force factorize it. So force factorize it out first, leaving you the bracket, and then work through all the steps. So I'm going to tell you to pause it, have a go, pause. And you're back, and so hopefully, lovelies, you'd have got the right answer all the way down to this. If you got 2 plus or minus the square root of 1/2, I'm really, really happy with that, because you're going to become Sir Legend soon enough, but that's on the other side, so I'm a little bit ahead of the other side. So yeah, if you got 2 plus or minus the square root of 1/2, Happy days, you're absolutely flying. If you're already pro at surd, so you did a bit of extension stuff and you're really good at it, that's the best possible answer, is this one here in purple. So, fantastic work, guys. Cool. Here's what I'm going to get you to do then for the remainder of this lesson and for your homework actually as well, which will be on Tuesday. Here's what I'm going to get you to do. In your blue textbook, I want you to do page 23, question 1, ABC, question 3, ABC, and then on page 24, question 2, ABC. So work on them now, and then when they're all done, you need to go to the back of your blue textbook, and every single question has an answer already. All I need you to do is put a tick if you got it right or a cross if you've got it wrong. Now, if you get it wrong, the whole idea of this tick cross thing, because some of you are new to AGS, I know that we do this with our year 11s here, but for all of you new ones, we do get you to tick your own work, because the idea is, if you got it wrong, please do have another go, because it shows you didn't maybe get it all the way right, but if you have a second go at it, you'd be like, oh yeah, and it's a super good learning experience, so all of your work has to be ticked and crossed. Now, if you don't get it on a second try or you have no idea, just jot a little note down or show what you didn't quite get on that, and then I'll be able to address it when you put it in for your homework. I'll be able to write thorough comments. So those of you who get perfect, you'll just get a comment like excellent or fantastic, but then that enables me, for those of you who need help, which will be all of you at some point, to spend a lot of time working, correcting down the ones that that need help. So that's really a good idea. It was the best marking policy ever. So yeah, there we go. So you got 3, 6, 9 questions. These first ones are easy, complete the square. The second ones are hard, complete the square. And these ones are solving, complete the square. They're going to be due on Tuesday. And what I want you to do to hand them in, just because of the COVID and all of that, is I think I'm going to try to go back to the remote learning. So I'd like you to take a picture on your phones of your completed work, of all the pages of your completed work, and just upload those pages onto the Show My Homework for me, and then I'll be able to have a little peek through at home, because I'm locked away in quarantine, so I'll still be able to mark it while I'm at home, and then when I get back to school we can decide if that's working well or not, and maybe I'll just start collecting paper when we get back into school, but maybe we'll really like the online and we'll stay with that till the rest of the year. So hard to say, but that's it for your first lesson. So sorry we couldn't meet in person for our first lesson, but I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys. Not next week, but the week after. I'm really eager to teach you guys. Good work picking maths. It's the best subject ever. And see you soon. Bye, lovelies.